All right, from the ground up, welcome to another episode. We have another special guest coming in on the show. Very honored to have her on the show, so I'm gonna bring her in now. Don, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I surely can, ma'am.
How are you?
All right, God, good. How are you? It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. It's been too long.
It's been quite
It's
some
been
time.
too
How have you
long.
been? How have you been? First of all,
I've been wonderful. I've been working my tail off. Just in the work I'm talking about is
mm, mm,
self-discipline, self-work. Um, a lot of changes that have happened have been through spirit for me.
mm-hmm,
And just kind of paying attention to the signs.
mm.
And so that's where I've been.
Man,
That's where I've been, just doing the work.
that's great. That's awesome to hear. So, is there any kind of like special projects or anything that right now that you're working on? Or are you just kind of just doing like the self work and then is it gonna turn into something else or like what are you thinking?
I've been, well, as far as my brand, as far as Love Always Wins, it's literally been a project for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the last 2, 3 years, I've been just adding value to spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's been happening is people come to me. I haven't put out any, I haven't sold anything. I haven't put
Mm-hmm.
out any merch. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't like put out kind of like a call to action, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to kind of see, how things are moving and going as far as, our society and in my field. Because I don't want to be in spaces that I don't want to be in. And then I'm also big on I don't want to say something that I'm not doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've literally just people have been coming to me on their own and we'll talk or whatever we want to do. And then I actually just last year I kind of started a marketing agency. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing
Oh, wow.
marketing for a couple of small businesses, new businesses that are
Mm-hmm.
trying to get their stuff going. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing that. And then hopefully I'm big on self-development. So it's more so with my daughter. I've
Mm-hmm.
been doing these things with her as far as just every year we work on something and it's totally separate from school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been like critical thinking, making your own thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
coming up with your own ideas. And so I'm going to turn that into kind of like a rites of passage system.
Mm-hmm.
And that way it's going to tie into education. So that's what
Nice.
I've been working on the
Nice.
most.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, it sounds like you got a full plate over there.
I keep moving. It's never a dull moment for me.
Absolutely. So what is exactly love always wins? Like yeah, I mean, I see you you spoke about that. Like what exactly is that? Like what are you trying to make that into?
Love Always Wins is it's an acronym. So Love Always Wins, L.A.W. So
Mhm.
that's law.
Mhm.
To me, that's just it tops everything.
Mm.
Love always wins. Even and the thing about it is what I noticed is
Mhm.
that people think that love is about hearts and good times
Mhm.
and not doing anything. And with Love Always Wins, um, I took it as okay, if I'm giving tough love to
Mhm.
someone and showing them, okay, it's not about me. You come and
Mhm.
talk to me, or people, you go and talk to someone else online, or you're
Mhm.
buying a product.
Mhm.
It's kind of ties into what they're doing, what they have going on. But when it's about self, it's about you.
Mm.
Everything that I talk about or bring up, it goes back to the person.
Mhm.
So I noticed that even if I do say something online or post something,
Mhm.
you get the traffic, but I noticed that my traffic is kind of like in the sidebar. They're not really showing themselves because it's really tough to
Mhm.
deal with self-love, to deal
Mm.
with self-discipline, because that's something that I have had to overcome and
Mhm.
I've had to unlearn. So I know
Mhm.
how hard it is.
Mhm.
And with Love Always Wins, the mission statement is um, I emit a vibration that helps people become the best version of themselves. So it's
Mhm.
creating that space versus just, okay, you do A, B, and C, and then you're going to get here. And I
Mm.
noticed that, especially on Twitter, I stay on Twitter.
Mhm.
I kind of log back in and notice, people are only doing things to make money. Money has become like the dominant thing going on, which
Mhm.
is great. But we often forget that we are the currency. We
Mm.
are the money.
Mhm.
And when you're able to kind of shift that perspective and say, okay, if I can get me right, no matter where I go,
Mhm.
it's coming to me. It's coming
Mhm.
forward. And it's funny because I notice this with my mom, or we'll go places,
Mhm.
and it's not so much about your looks. And
Mhm.
that's what we focus on. It's
Mhm.
about your spirit. Because I can go places and I sometimes don't have to pay for things. But it's not just how I look, it's my energy. It's
Mhm.
how I come. I'm already smiling. I'm saying hello. And that ties into even dealing with our men.
Mhm.
I've noticed that men will put their head down when they come around, or they come past me. I speak to
Mhm.
everybody, whether I'm in the store getting gas,
Mhm.
and I notice that men are like put their head down, and I'm like, and I make a point to speak,
Mhm.
because you'll notice, some women are like, well, don't talk to me, or don't say hi to me, or you get that. I've noticed that.
Mhm.
And then you get that, the pushback. Well, this is how we react, or this is how you say something. So I
Mhm.
speak, because it's very important. We
Mhm.
need that. We need each other, even if we don't know each other.
Yes, for sure. So, along those lines, like, what is your like mental health journey been like? Because I know you speak a lot about like mental health on Facebook and stuff like that, and you post a lot of really positive like messages. So, what has that journey been like for you as
Mhm.
far as like coming to that space? Coming from where we from,
Mental,
you know what I'm saying, and going through things that we've all, I'm sure, have been through. It's like you have to kind of discover that on your own because you're never really taught that. So, like, what has that been like for you?
with mental health, oh man, it, it's I'm real big on words. And so some of the words, the cliche words, I don't
Mhm.
use. So it's like when you speak about mental health, it's everything,
Mhm.
because it is, even just with the two main ones that people talk about, depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
for me, it's just not being present. You're
Mm.
either too far in the future, or you're too far in the past, and
Mhm.
you're not here. So if you're
Mhm.
not here and you are here and your thoughts are there, there's a disconnection.
Mhm.
So automatically you're causing stress to your body, not even knowing. And then you tie into the food, because it's everything that we consume. And people forget that we're inside of this body. It's a
Mhm.
vessel. So
Mhm.
what you feed it is going to come out.
Mhm.
So what you're eating, you're thinking, who you're talking to, what you're watching,
Mhm.
all your senses. And we think that all the senses, we separate them, but it's all one. So just as we
Mhm.
can hear something, we can also see it and sometimes taste it.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to mental health, we have to understand that it is everything. That's why you hear that word with the consciousness community, and it's holistic. It is holistic because we are whole, but
Mhm.
our society has taught us to separate all these things. So when you go to the doctor, you have this, and then this, and then this, when it's really just one thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's really just one thing. But we've
Mhm.
been, oh, you have cancer. And then now your pancreas is messed up. But no, it could have started from a thought. It could have started from
Mhm.
stress. And some
Mhm.
people don't know, like they'll be 10 years and they'll be 10 years down the line, and they're holding on to all of these past experiences and can't figure out why their back hurt, or they can't figure out why they got a pinched nerve.
Mhm.
That's those experiences that you keep holding on to. So
Mhm.
that mental health, woo.
Yes, for sure. All of that.
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what kind of got you into that? Like what made you kind of get on this journey of like self-love and wanting to um seek further in just the mental health and the anxiety and the depression and see why? Like what was the inspiration behind that?
Self,
So,
back to self, is because
mhm.
it is it's from growing up. So being in sports half of my life, to my
Mhm.
injury. And then once I had my injury, it literally slapped me in the face, because I was planning to go to the Olympics.
Mm.
My jumps and times were right on target when I graduated from high school.
Oh
And so
yes.
from Yeah. Oh,
Oh
yes.
yeah, we got to get into that because I know, you know I know. But yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. So from recovering from that, I went to physical therapy and I had an amazing physical therapist. He's from New Zealand and he was actually, his sun sign was an Aquarius like mine. So we clicked.
Yes.
And so I was doing that about 2 or 3 times a week. And it got about 6 months in and I noticed, I'm like, okay, I'm not getting better. I don't feel better. I got to do something. So I literally took basketball drills, track drills, which would be plyometrics, and then swimming. I took those 3 things and made my own therapy plan and I healed myself. I did, and then I took, I had THC. That's when I started to use THC more and more. So I would either use it as a tea, I would cook with it. I did smoke it sometimes, but I wanted to get away from that because when you light it on fire, it turns into a different chemical. So I was experimenting with the tea and the food. And then, so my sports drills with the THC, and then I changed my eating habits. I went raw completely for 90 days and literally reset my system. No pain.
Wow.
No, they wanted to do the shot, that shot in the back. They were talking about surgery. And then one of my discs in my lumbar was deteriorating. So I ended up getting an MRI and X-ray and no pain today. None.
Wow.
None.
Wow. That is insane. That is insane. Wow. So okay, so you basically healed yourself from that injury by just, like you said, changing your eating habits, changing your exercise routine, just kind of taking matters into your own hands. Do you think that that's something that going forward a lot of like athletes should do more of, or like at least athletes that are like coming up into like going into the professional realm?
I've thought about this many times, even creating something for athletes, and I haven't been kind of in that space in the industry because I've been focusing on other things because for a while it was hard. It was hard for me to focus on sports, watch sports, because that was all I knew.
Yeah.
I was eating, reading, sleeping.
Yes. Oh yes.
And so I thought about it and I was wondering how many children my age were going through this, because it was sports from high school. I was doing like it would track, you can only do 4 events. So I was practicing and running in 4 events every day. I literally worked my body till I couldn't do it anymore. Like everything came out of me in 4 years. And so I just wondered, like, okay, how many other athletes are going through this? Are there coaches out there that are aware of this? Because some coaches aren't coaches.
Talk about it.
In our generation coming up, it was all about points. It was all about the boosters. It wasn't really about the student athlete. It wasn't about, okay, what can I do to get them to be the best? It was like, okay, you come here and do this.
What can I gain from you? Yeah.
You can win. And so that's where I was trained to. And even my mother was an athlete. My mom, we both ran at Eastern Illinois in state and track in high school. She won. She's still on a record board in Decatur, Illinois. She jumped her height in high jump.
That is insane.
So she was 5'10" and jumped 5'10" her senior year in high school. She
crazy.
Still has that record. So she went down to Florida. She was a Gator her freshman year. Same thing with her. She was injured her freshman year and had to come back home. So I do want to have a space. I do want to create a space where athletes could have a more holistic approach to their athletic abilities and working. But I think now, Lawrence Harding, he is a trainer and he's amazing. And I watched him and watched him grow within his space. And he is really, really on target when it comes to the fundamentals of lifting, stretching, working out, because it's not just doing it. And my thing, and I've been thinking about this, it's so funny that we connected, because I was thinking about this working out the other day,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and when you deal with muscles and you see all these people getting muscles and everybody, all the women are focused on their bottom. But if you have all of these muscles, if you aren't stretching those muscles, you can't do anything with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sit down and think about stretching is the most important thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the lifting, forget trying to build, you have to stretch, because when you need to use those muscles, if you got to run, you all bulky,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going anywhere,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, you running in place.
Anywhere. So it's interesting because I've even learned about the different machines that they have,
Mm-hmm.
and how these athletes are just, they're amazing. They're what I've tapped into. So it's something to definitely look and definitely hopefully to create in the future.
Definitely. So so speaking of like your sports background and things of that nature, what was the first sport that kind of drew you into like athletics and made you want to like just try different things? Because you've done everything. Like if you know you know, like you've done just about every sport.
I tried.
You like
I tried it.
listen, all of them. So what was the first sport that was like, you know, that kind of drew you into being like interested in just other sports and things of that nature?
I was 5 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and I started playing basketball at Salvation Army. My mom put us in Salvation Army
Oh, you
in the
took it
Y.
back. Oh, you took
In
it
the
back.
Y. I was the Magic. So I had my blue t-shirt, I had my beads. I was the only girl on the
Oh
team. You could hear
man.
me up and down the court.
Oh, that's hilarious. That
And
is hilarious.
so I started playing basketball, only girl. And then I went to the Y, and Coach Evans,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Evans was my coach. And I played on the team. I think it was Jontel, Mario.
Ooh, shout out to the goats, to the OGs.
Man, I can't trying to think who else. It was a couple people on there. I can't even remember if I played with Evan. I might have played with Evan, but started playing basketball and loving the game and learning the fundamentals, and even going. I had the best coach in elementary school. I was at Pleasant Valley, and Coach Kara Smith. She is the one that I learned discipline from.
Mm-hmm.
Team, just having teamwork,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what it takes to be an individual in a team.
Mm.
And which ties into, it ties into corporate, it ties into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just grateful to have that background with basketball, and I love the game.
Mm-hmm.
And even going back and looking at elementary school the past decade, they're double dribbling, they traveling.
Girl, listen, I
Ooh,
can't watch it. I
we
can't
was
watch it.
balling.
I can't, man, I can't watch it because that got you took off the court.
Do you realize how far we've
Oh
gone back?
yeah, yes.
Like
It's
they're
it's funny that you even say that because I was just I just interviewed today Tara Burns, which
okay.
I'm you know Tara.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, so and she kind of alluded to the same thing, and she was just like, like I couldn't be a coach in today's era just because like the kids nowadays, like the
Yes.
attitudes and just everybody thinking that they have got
Oh
something
my
already
God.
without earning it, and like just I mean like she spoke about, it's funny that literally y'all are really kind of touching on the same things, because I feel the same way. Like when we were coming up in our era, like coaches were tough on us, like cause they would, I mean, grabbing you up like in your face, like letting you know what you were doing wrong. But I feel like it trained us to be, like you said, disciplined in life as adults now, which is why I
Yes.
think our generation is, we're more, we be looking at these young kids like, what's teaching y'all, because they don't have that
So
same
fundamental.
structure. Yeah, there's that
So
same structure.
fundamental. It is, it is mind-boggling. And like you said, you took the words out of my mouth. I went to the one game from my old school, and this was years ago. I can't imagine what it looks like now, but I couldn't go back. I said, there's no
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
I can't
Oh
watch this.
man, no, not at all. It's like a woo. You just get flashbacks. Like my coach would have what?
Woo.
I've had every coach I've ever had has been tough. I've never had an easy coach ever.
Yes.
But
Grateful. So grateful.
absolutely, because like I said, I feel like it's prepared me for so much in the real world. Just because like I
Yeah.
knew from the gate, you're not gonna get anything easy in life. Like you gotta be
Mhm.
able to work for it, and there's gonna be times where you're gonna go through things that you don't like, but you still gotta soldier
Yes,
through it.
that's right.
So you said you started with basketball. So from there, was it track immediately after that, or was like did what got you to track? Like how did you get there?
I knew that, well, my mom, she did volleyball and track. and I ended up doing basketball and track.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was introduced to track when I was 10. So I was a fifth grader.
Mm.
And same coach, Kara Smith, on my basketball coach, she said, "Hey, Danielle, why don't you try to run?" I'm like, "All right, we'll see. So and literally I was running my fifth grade year, I was running in basketball shoes.
That's hilarious.
I didn't even have spikes yet. And at the time we were running on like gravel tracks. Like it was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
it wasn't even a real track.
Oh
And
man.
Man, and I think since fifth grade, that's when you deal with like the freshman, sophomore, and varsity type of scale. And so immediately as a fifth grader, I was playing against eighth graders. I was going to state. Now I was fortunate, which I'm so grateful, because I was in Pleasant Valley. I was competing in IESA. So I've been competing in IESA, IHSA since I was 10.
Yeah.
So from 10 years old, I've been going to state in basketball and track. And so to me, when I look back on it and see, how people evolved, I did all of that at 10. And to see myself grow from 10 to 14 to be competing at the level that I was competing at, I don't give myself enough credit. Number
you
one.
absolutely do not. And let me just say, as a spectator who's seen you run, don't make no mistake, you could fly. Like watching you run was like, it was incredible. Like I'm like, this, I've never seen somebody that just made, and you made it look so effortless. I think that was the most like impressive part about it. It was just like, which I mean, I know you put the work in, obviously I'm not discounting that at all, but you can flat out fly for real. So if you don't, let me, because you were one of the goats in track back in that time, hands down.
It was a time.
It was a time. So speaking of that time, because again, I interviewed Tara and we talked about this, like our era of just talent in Illinois alone, like in all sports, not even just basketball. I know basketball is like the main thing, but just all sports, like the talent across the board. Like there was just such a crop of talent at that time. So like, what was your experience like being in that era and just like competing against some of the people that you competed against or played with, or like what was that time like for you?
For me, I loved it because it was like family. It was kind of like the community aspect that we all are dying for right now. It just brought so many people together. And so with the work ethic and the discipline, it allowed people to see your strengths and weaknesses. But not only that, because I'm big on, I am my competition. And so, to look out, like even when I transferred, so my freshman year, I was at Limestone and I transferred to District 150 my sophomore year. So I went to Richwoods. So my sophomore year, I used to play summer ball. That's when I met Tara and Taja. That's when I met all of them together. I think I met Bianca. And so
we gotta talk about Bianca.
To see it was totally different for me. Because of the atmosphere. It was totally different. So my competition changed. But not only that, when I would run in state and would track, I would run against all, just the fastest women in the state. I ran against the Cahokia girls. Now, one thing those Cahokia girls in that blue and orange.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
When you go back down there, they're not there. The blue black people, I talk about this all the time. There is no blue black people down in Cahokia anymore.
Wow. Are you serious?
Nope. So when you talk about the gentrification or you talk about society and the things, how things, there are no blue black people down there anymore. And I ran against them. I remember them.
Yes.
Because they were so,
man. Yes.
They were so fast. So that time, man, it was just a party. And it was more like you have that the competition aspect, but that there's nothing there,
camaraderie.
Man, it's I have no words.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was that powerful. It was
Mm-hmm.
that much love. It was that much just it's power.
Yeah.
That was power.
Absolutely. I don't think
That
we
was power.
realized, and she kind of alluded to this too, is that like you mentioned the why, like playing against being one of the only girls on the team, and she was like she had that same experience, and like she's like at the time I didn't realize like how groundbreaking that was. And like now that I look back on it now, that's like that's kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
historic. And even, you know, you talking about just that era, like I remember those times too. And I mean I was like a year or two younger than you guys, but I still remember like being around in that era and like going to high school and seeing y'all and like wanting to be y'all, like looking at
Yeah.
them like, oh, I want to be cool like them, like I want to play, you know, I want to play like them, or I want to, you know, have that same competitive fire and same greatness that you guys kind of had. Like y'all set the precedent for us, like, you know,
I
that was
didn't
coming
even
up
think about
behind.
that.
And y'all weren't even think you know what I'm saying, it wasn't even in your mind like we're inspiring this next generation. But you'd be a fool to say that, you know,
Wow.
me going to Central, like I'd be a fool to say I wasn't inspired by Tara, or I wasn't inspired by Tasha, or
Yes.
I wasn't inspired by
Yes.
Jamaica or Nakia. Like I'd be crazy
Yes.
to say that. But I mean, Tressie, like I mean, just like so many women that came before me in that and you guys' time, like it was just like it was the craziest time because we
Yeah.
all grew up together, we all knew each other, we all crossed our walk of life in some way, whether it was, you
Yes.
know, going to school together or seeing each other out, or going to Carver or going, you know, hooping and doing stuff the kids do. So
Yes.
it's just like that era I feel like is so lost on sports now, especially like
Mhm.
where we're from. It's like that's not that same crop of energy. So
Yes.
where do you think the transition like between that era and now, like what is lost in the fact that it's not really that same camaraderie anymore?
Man, I think I guess the first thing that comes to mind for me is just being authentic
Mm,
and not just not being afraid to be yourself.
mm-hmm,
Um, Now where we are is totally superficial.
mm-hmm,
It's totally impulsive. So it's the I guess it would be like the discipline, the work
mm-hmm,
ethic.
mm-hmm,
And when you deal with track, that's why track it breeds a different type of person because you
mm-hmm,
don't there's no tryouts for track.
mm-hmm. You either
You
have it or
either
you
do
don't.
it or you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually took away the track program from Pleasant Valley from the elementary
Wow.
school. It's not even there anymore. I cried when my coach told
Wow.
me,
Wow.
because that was everything for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was everything. And so now, what we have is, if you're not the natural abilities that we have, like we said earlier, there's no fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, athletes are working, and I'm trying to get back into it to see how people go from college to pro,
Mm-hmm.
or even just now high school, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure about elementary school anymore. I don't it's so scarce, and it might be better in other spaces, but from what
Mm-hmm.
I've learned from my walk of life,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost non-existent now. And
Mm-hmm.
so to have that gap
Mm-hmm.
widen, and
Mm-hmm.
the disconnect
Mm-hmm.
from the discipline, and even with the trophies, and I think we've talked about this years ago as a collective, when you
Yeah.
do participation trophies,
Yeah.
and winning and losing,
Mm-hmm.
that is necessary. We are in a space of duality,
Mm-hmm.
so everybody can't win.
Yeah, man. Woo. Woo.
Everybody can't win. It's just like being happy.
Yeah.
You're not going to be happy 100% of the time.
Yes.
So you have to be able to ride the wave.
Mm-hmm.
And so to look at a loss, or even to be angry, we've only been taught one way to be angry. So when you look at it, okay, if I'm angry at that's how I take the approach. If I'm angry here, what can I do to counteract that? I can
Mm-hmm.
be mad all day. It's not going to change anything. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm so angry, I'm going to change the way I eat.
Mm.
I'm going to
Mm.
teach my daughter that the medicine is in the food.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, now my Akasha's 6. Akasha knows if she eats something and she doesn't feel well, she's, Mom, I need to go eat some raspberries. She'll tell me that.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I need to go eat some fruit, because
Mm-hmm.
she knows that if she eats something that is not beneficial to her, that she can eat some fruit to help her feel better.
That's
So it's
crazy.
just, it's, it is the disconnect. And I guess you could say it could tie into parenting,
Mm-hmm.
but then you would have to bring in society.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we have to deal with the programming.
Mm-hmm.
It can go, we could take it,
So many ways. Yeah. So
we
many
go as
ways.
far as we want to it.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
for me, I guess the bottom line would be just how that the gap has widened.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that we're starting to turn that around,
Mm-hmm.
especially with our generations coming up and becoming adults. We not for the bull.
Mm-hmm.
See it.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
calling it out,
Mm-hmm.
and you either gonna fall in line, or we gonna break this line up.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna roll over you.
We
We're
gonna
gonna
break it up.
roll. Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think you're absolutely right, and I think that a lot of that comes from, again, how we were raised and what we were taught and what we were given. We were just we kind of made the best out of what we were given, basically.
Yes.
And we weren't given a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, every coach that I've ever played for, they've always been tough.
Yes.
And I, of course, hated it during the time, but looking back on it now, I needed that. Like that's made me,
Mhm.
what I am now and how I'm able to maneuver through society is because of those teaching and that toughness. Um, but I want to ask you too, like, so we mentioned the high school days and we mentioned Bianca Ward. Now, before I ask you, let me just tell you my experience, because I went to Rolling Acres Middle School, so I saw a lot of Bianca Ward because Richwoods obviously is right there.
Mhm.
So Coach Roar, shout out Coach Roar, she would always like have a scrimmage on Saturdays against the Richwood high school team. So it'd be like Bianca and like 4 or 5 other girls that would come. And when I tell you, like, I hated Saturdays because Bianca would like, she didn't care that we were like 3 grades younger than her. Like, none of
Right.
that mattered. Like, she was coming to
Man.
headhunt to kill. Like, she was doing
Yes.
and one moves like in person that I had only seen on TV, and like making it look, and like she was like 15 doing this, and I would be like,
Yes.
yo, this is not fair. Like, why is she doing this to us? But like, to see her in person, like, people, I'll be trying to explain to people that in California just how good she was, like, and they don't understand because they didn't get to see, but to see her in real time, like, man, I wish she would have made it, because she could have really like,
She's amazing.
oh my gosh. So for you, because you went to school with her, what was that experience like for you to see it every day up close in person? Like, what was that like for you?
Well, I didn't see a lot, but I saw enough. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was coming in, she was going out. This was
Mm-hmm.
prior to things happening
Yeah.
with life.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
so I just even talking with her, like it's always fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
always chaos. It
Mm-hmm.
was just, it's just the bubbly, just
Mm-hmm.
even watching her play makes you
Mm-hmm.
feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see, because I guess you reminded me of me as I was running track,
Mm-hmm.
because it was just effortless.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
like she would float. And
Yes.
so I'm like, I'm watching this little girl, because mind you, by
Yeah.
this time in high
She's
school,
small. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't grew, so I'm almost
Yeah.
5'8", and I'm a
Yeah.
power forward. I went from a guard to a power forward. And
Mm-hmm.
so watching this little person just run around and rip around and scrimmage, I'm just like, wow. I
Mm-hmm.
just, it comes back to those, there's not too much to say. It's
Yeah.
just something to cherish.
Yes. You had to see it, and if you saw it, you were lucky.
Yes, because I couldn't believe it, but I could. But then not only that, I'm big on spirit, and just
Mm-hmm.
her spirit, and to see her come through that gym and just get on there, just go, just fly.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, same.
Just fly.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Like I said, I hated it going against her, obviously, because she was just that good. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I would like be guarding her, but still like watching in awe. Like, how can one person do all of this? Like,
Yes.
I mean, she had defense, she could score, she could pass, she had handles, she could shoot. Like, there was nothing she couldn't do, and it
My
was just like I had never seen somebody so complete, so young. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when she was coming in, she was like 14 or 15. This is just like the beginning before they started winning championships. I want to say they won like two while she was there, but like this was preseason and stuff, like, so this was before the world got to see, you know what I'm saying, what she could really do. And once she got on that stage, like seeing her against other high school players, it was like, oh, like she shouldn't even be here, like she shouldn't even be playing with, you know what I'm saying, like it was, man, I mean, I spoke to Tara about that as well, and she was like, she was a nightmare for me, because I mean, she was quick like I was quick, you know what I'm saying, I had to guard her and then try to score, like she was like, it was a lot. And I mean, she did that to a lot of people. Like it wasn't just, you know what I'm saying? Like this was everybody that played against her. Like she always made them feel like this big.
Yes.
Because she was so many things.
I loved it.
So I mean, of course you did. Of course you did, Donielle. Of course you did. Of course you did. You went to Richwoods. Of course you did. You're supposed to.
Oh shoot.
But yeah, y'all, I mean that team that y'all had at that time was one of them ones, man. You get lucky to see some of those teams where they just all have it and everything's clicking.
Yes.
And it was definitely one of them ones. So kind of piggybacking off of that, like no particular order, doesn't matter. Let's have some fun. Top 5 female hoopers all time.
Oh man.
High school in our era, because I'll say our because I was right behind you. So our era, top 5, no particular order, top 5.
Bianca.
Yes, for sure.
I love watching Tara play.
Yes.
I loved her game. Even playing against them. I love playing against them because I say Mariah Smith. I love watching Mariah Smith play.
Yes. Yeah, shout out to Mariah Smith. She's a huge supporter, but yeah,
she's awesome to watch her play.
Man, yeah, she had it all, man. She had it all.
Who else? Danika. Okay, I played with Danika Jackson.
Okay, I remember Danika.
Danika Jackson. I played with her all of elementary at Pleasant Valley.
Mm-hmm.
She was averaging like 34 points a game.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She reminded me of Bianca. So when I saw Bianca, I'm like, dang, you remind me of Danika. But
yeah,
Danika was she was just so witty.
Yeah.
And the way that she moved the ball, like even with her assists, like because I played a guard with her. Mm-hmm. And I just cut, and it was just like clockwork.
It was easy, it was easy. Yeah,
it was just, we were just give and take. Mm-hmm. So Danika I love playing with her. Mm-hmm. And then one more. Mm-hmm. Who else do I like to watch to play? I have to say Tasha, because the duo, Sarah and Tasha duo it was beautiful to see.
Man,
I'll be on the court like
yes.
That's what when I transferred my sophomore year, and I saw them play, because at the time I don't think I was playing varsity yet. Well, I was on that bench like, this is awesome. Like
yes, man. Yeah. People have to. Tasha is I would say she's underrated as far as like when it comes to that crop of talent, because people don't realize just how versatile Tasha's game was. Like there was nothing Tasha couldn't do. Like she could finish with both hands. She could finish with both hands. She could handle. She could post up.
Beautiful. Just see her move, just to see her alternate in between, because it was like, to me it was like playing the game. And you just switch it. That's what it was.
She was I mean, light on, like she was another one. Obviously, I went to Central, so I got to see them up close and personal, them Tasha and Tara, and I mean they would pick and roll us apart. And like you said, it was one of those things, like even if you were playing against them, you would like, damn, like this is amazing, like this is incredible. Because I mean, Tara was a nightmare to guard, because she was so fast and so strong to be like as small as she was. Like if you thought you was gonna you was gonna pressure Tara up with muscle, like she could get past you still. Like
I love guarding her because she was a challenge for me. I
at
was like,
man,
oh, okay,
absolutely.
this D up.
Absolutely. Yeah, she was for sure. It was a challenge for sure, but she was gonna give you work either way it went. Like
Right.
she was going to give you work, and then like even if you do cut her off, she still have to worry about Tasha. And then Tasha could stretch like she was the first, like I would say, stretch four that I saw like in person. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously there's been stretch fours, but like she was doing it at a time where it wasn't really like popular.
Yeah.
Like fours were supposed to be in the lane with the five. Like you're supposed to be on this side, five's gonna be on this side. You post up and that's it. She was the first person that I saw that brought it out to where she could shoot the mid-range jumper and she could shoot the three and she could initiate the offense. Like she was just everything in one
it's
package.
So awesome to watch them play.
Oh man, so amazing. So you do, I'm sure you remember the Sean Livingston era, right? Because he went to Richwoods and then he transitioned from Richwoods to Central. So like talk about like what that experience was like for you, because like we all watched, we all were around, we all saw, you know what I'm saying, but I feel like it was different for everybody. So when you would see that, like what was the feeling like for you
watching him?
Just watching him in high school, watching just all the attention and just everything that came with Sean Livingston.
It would, for me, I grew up in the county, so this is outside looking in, really for me. And so once I kind of caught wind with District 150 in the inner city, I'm like, okay, this is a whole nother wave that I had no experience in. And so coming into it and watching, like, I guess the end of it, for me, it was the impact. I'm big when I see things that's on a macro scale. So I'm looking at everything, and I guess I'm grateful that it happened. But more so, just the journey. I think we don't appreciate the process of people, of watching people, and seeing their timeline and seeing, I guess, taking from it and learning from it and applying it to yourself. Because for me, ball, I love basketball, but my passion was track.
Right.
And so to be sitting there and watch it be a passion for people, I was in awe, because I took it for me, I love it. It's a workout for me. Right. The workout.
Yeah.
I could block. I love the block and I love defense. So I'm like, okay, I can go here. I can block some shots.
What told you are you should love blocking? The hell.
I could block. I could do defense. And so watching guys play and again, this ties into even friendships. A lot of my friendships were with guys. And so to just be around them and watch them grow from it, that was a sight to see, because it helped me learn about me. And so just even Sean Livingston, Jamar Smith, all of those guys, even from Richwoods, and seeing Bill Cole and even watching State. Going to State and seeing Derrick Rose play, like all of those memories I have, and to see the Sean Livingston era and those guys grow and become these staples, we don't appreciate it enough.
Yeah, for sure.
We don't learn from it enough.
For sure.
And so for me, it's all about the impact. It's all about taking away from it. And it's, and like I said, now it's all about lights and economics, flashing lights and being impulsive. Nothing will compare to those times.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Nothing will compare to those memories, watching those games, going to the game. I remember just traveling to those games. And just traveling to the game was fun. Just that alone.
Yes.
We ain't even got to do nothing. Just traveling to the games. So to get there at the game, to have our our gear on, to see them run, like just the whole thing.
Atmosphere, yeah, just the whole atmosphere.
It's everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
I will forever be grateful to have those things. And I think about Akasha and her growing up, and it's big for me because I don't want to pressure her to do sports. I
Mm-hmm.
want her to experience everything and then her choose
What she wants to write.
for those to have those things.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's important for me for her to learn, it's about fundamentals. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you bring up Sean Livingston, that it takes me back to that, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be anything but but
Yeah.
that.
That era was, man, like you said, and I think you alluded to it great. It's just that era and that atmosphere, just everything about it. Just like you said, going to the game and having the gear on and cheering and being with your friends and just having like that whole experience, because it's like we're the only ones who really got that real like authentic. Like I feel like it stopped with us, honestly. Like it stopped with us. Like after 2010 when we graduated, it was like never really the same after that, because we got to really experience the essence and the grit of like Illinois basketball from everywhere, not even just from where we were at, just from everywhere. Like we were traveling the entire state, just traveling to different places over the summer and playing against different teams or during the season. And I mean, those road trips and just everything that came with that era of basketball or just of sports, period. It was an underrated era, and I don't think we appreciate it enough until obviously we got grown and we look back and we're like, man, like I said, I don't live in Illinois anymore, but I still follow a lot of people that do, and I just see how they speak about it and just little highlights here and there, and I'm just like, man, they don't even know. They don't even know, like, to break through that crop of competition and still have a name.
Man,
you had to work for that.
Work.
Like you
and we
had
didn't
to
even know we was doing that work. That's the whole thing about it. Like, even with me, like I always that practice. And people have no idea what practice is today.
No, not at all. Not
for anything.
Gritty practice. Yeah, no, not at all.
That, like you said, you grit. That grit in practice, you can't compare that to anything.
No, not at
all.
You
can't compare that to anything. I don't. You not can make all. It. You can try and paint it. You nothing compares to that grit in practice, because, like I said earlier, I am my competition. I didn't run against anybody else. I was running against me. It was my time.
Yeah, I could tell. We could tell. We could tell. It was
like, and it's funny. Like I said, I don't give myself. I don't give myself.
No, you don't. You don't.
I don't, because I'm thinking back and playing back all of these things that were going through my mind, and I'm like, how was I thinking about this at 12?
Man, I wish you though, seriously, like I wish you could have stepped outside yourself and seen to seen it, because like I said, like watching certain people in that era that I've alluded to before, like I said, it was an experience. It wasn't just watching them do something and that was it. It was an experience. Like I knew when you got on those blocks and like you lifted your body up, I was like, oh yeah, we in for one, right? We in for one now, because she's about to go crazy. And it just was like everybody in the stadium knew it. It was an unspoken feeling, like she's about to just take off. And as soon as that gunshot and you started running, I was like, yep, there she go. It was, but that was every time. This wasn't like
every time.
There was no fall off. There was no like step back. This was every single time I've ever seen you run in person. Yep. I knew what time it was. Everybody else knew what time it was. It was just like, well, who's gonna come in second? And what is Donielle's time gonna be this time? Like, is it gonna be a second faster? Like, what is she gonna? Because we knew what time it was. Like, it was, you just knew. That's why, like, as a fan, as somebody that was, younger than you guys, I really got to experience from like you guys' freshman year up until senior years. Like, that was the greatest time for me, and I feel like it gave my love for sports like a different kind of energy. That's why, like, I appreciate it and I go at it the way that I do, is because I got to, like, granted, I watch NBA and stuff like that, cool, but like I got to experience my version of greatness in person. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to see a lot of
Yes.
really great athletes in person. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got to see you,
That's
Tara,
right.
Taja, like, I mean, like all the people, Dyricus, DJ, Jontel,
Yes.
you know, all those, Jamar Smith, like, all these, like, I got to see DJ Hoskins, like,
Yeah.
all these people, like, I got to see them in person. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And actually, like, experience what that greatness and that feel, and just the feeling around the city as well, like, what that was
Mm-hmm.
like. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where my appreciation for just for our era of
Yes.
basketball, or it's just sports in general, I should say, it's just so high, because that's just like you said, an unexplainable experience. Like, you just had to be there to fully like grasp what that was like.
Man,
Because I mean, living in it and being in it, you don't, like you said, you don't realize, because you
you don't.
doing what you want, you just doing what you love to
Don't.
do. You don't
Yep.
understand the impact that you're having on future kids, or just people that's coming up behind you, or just an era in itself. Like, if we all got in a room and talked about our era, we'd be there all night.
All day, all day long.
We'd be there all night, because there's just so much to pull from that. So being off of that kind of little bit, like do you watch current NBA at all? Are you a fan, or like
I
what are your thoughts on current NBA? I'll say this.
Because I don't watch TV. I haven't watched
Oh,
TV
got it.
in many
Got it.
years.
Oh wow.
So
That's dope.
for for me, if I tap into sports, because I actually started watching football probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually learned the game and I enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so with the NBA, I think I tapped into it a little bit. I'll read about
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sports now.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
did watch the highlights of the All-Star game. So I noticed like all of those things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when it comes to the NBA, and I noticed this when I started watching TV, it became all about money and politics
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm big on college ball. I love watching college
Mm-hmm.
basketball
Mm-hmm.
because they're gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna go on the court, they're gonna play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's I guess for me, because like I said, I even thought about going pro before. Um, I guess my thought process is the connection it deals with from children to growing up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what does that process look like?
Mm-hmm.
What does the recruitment look like?
Mm-hmm.
And I think NFL just had
The draft.
their draft.
Yeah.
So I think my cousin actually got drafted.
Oh, nice.
And so you see those things,
Mm-hmm.
and I just hope that they're taking care of the players,
Mm-hmm.
because it's my experience,
Mm-hmm.
what I went through. And so that's it for me. But as far as like mainstream and commercialized, I get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get all of that and why it's the way it is, but I don't want it to get lost. I don't want the art of sports to be lost,
Mm-hmm.
and just to do it like it's a job, or to do it because we're here or we want fame.
Mm-hmm.
It's so impactful, and where we're going, there's not many things that are impactful,
Mm-hmm.
especially to our youth,
Mm-hmm.
to the people that are growing, to our generations coming. I don't know what sports is going to look like in 10 years.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
don't.
Mm-hmm.
We could speculate, but we don't know what it's going to look like, because just the past decade, it's took a toll
Oh
that
yeah. Yeah.
I never even thought it would. I never
Man.
even thought it would go.
Man.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, man, that's the best way to put it. I've been a fan of the NBA for a long time. Obviously, I'm probably the same as you. But it is, I keep up with it actively, and just it is a lot different now than what it used to be. Definitely, it's definitely more money driven. However, I do think the positive with that is that the NBA is more so of a player league than any other like major sports league.
Okay.
Just because I feel like the players have more power, and I feel like they have started to realize that power, as far as like how the teams are shifted, and how like contracts are constructed, and how they go about their business acumen as well, outside of just the NBA.
So you're
So
saying like they're being more vocal on their position?
yes, absolutely. I feel like they have more power in that, and I feel like the owners are kind of more so put in position to be forced to respect the players a lot more
It's wonderful to
than
hear.
than other leagues, because um I think it kind of kickstarted with LeBron, just because his main thing, like I always allude to this story, like his main thing that always sticks out to me, which is why I'm such a fan of his, is I remember when he first came into the league, he had an agent just like everyone else. And then a couple years down the line, he ended up firing his agent and putting his friends in position to be like his agents, his team, his spokespersons or whatever. And I remember like the backlash that he received from that, and how people were like, oh, he's dumb, he's crazy, like
Right.
he's cocky, he thinks he knows better than everybody. But now Clutch Sports is like $1 billion industry now, $1 billion business now, and now everybody's trying to have that same, you know what I'm saying, do that same thing. So it's like that's why I feel like it's more player. The NBA is more player driven than anything else, because I feel like once that happened, everybody kind of took a step back and was like, well, wait a minute, like, you mean I can be in charge of my own fate? Like, I can be in charge of what I do. I can be in charge of the business deals that I make, instead of paying somebody else to represent or to speak for me. And once that happened, it was just like everything kind of shifted as far as like in the NBA. Now the NFL is going to be the NFL, because that's just, I don't think that structure is ever gonna like change or be different as far as like owner to player. But definitely in the NBA, there's been such a power shift where it's more so player driven than just like, you know, the owner saying whatever and then the players kind of falling in line.
Yes.
If that makes any sense. But I can say that, at least for the NBA, that they have definitely made a more conscious effort to take care of the players and be more cognizant of the players.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, than any other league. So um I want to ask you this, because I know you don't watch TV, but do you think, from what you've seen and what you may have read, do you think that Carmelo Anthony is a Hall of Famer?
Is a Hall of Famer?
Mm-hmm.
Has he been playing the last 3 years?
He has. He's kind of been bouncing around a little bit, because he's not the, you know, the star Carmelo that we grew up with and we're accustomed to.
I loved watching him play.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very good question.
I've been getting everybody with this question, so don't.
Yeah, like I'm really thinking about this man's game, because I guess for me, when I think about Carmelo Anthony, I think about he is well rounded.
Mm-hmm.
I could think about him and say, okay, he is a team player. Mm-hmm. He can execute. Mm-hmm. He can delegate. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
You did get me, because I really don't know, because I guess for me, and this is it might be because I haven't been watching him play, but I guess when I did watch him play, what I think about is, was he able to express his full potential? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's what I think about, because in my mind, if I did see him express his full potential, that would be without a shadow of a doubt. But at times I noticed when I did watch him play, it was timid. It was kind of that timid feeling versus I'm exploding like LeBron, right? Or even like when Baron Davis was when he first came into the league, I love watching Baron Davis play.
Oh yes, B Diddy.
Man, he was balling. I love watching that man play when he first came into the league.
Yes, sir.
So you know, I think about that. I think about him playing timid versus him expressing his full capacity. And to me, that would then determine, you know, that would place him.
Yes, I agree. I agree. In so many ways, I agree with that. I feel like, for me, I say no, just because I don't think Carmelo's game ever really, like, he never transitioned. Like, his game always was what it was. And when he came into the league, there was a certain style of basketball that was being played. So he was very successful at that because that fit what his game was.
Yes.
I feel like once the game transitioned and it kind of sped up, he kind of got lost in the sauce a little bit because he never really like took
Yep.
that extra, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like even like
Yep.
like a LeBron, I was having this discussion earlier, like he had to realize even himself, like you're not gonna win off just athleticism and being stronger and faster than everybody.
Mhm.
Like you got to be able to shoot, because now if you have a weakness, quote unquote, we're gonna force you to shoot. So
Mhm.
you're gonna have to at least have a consistent enough jump shot to where it can be accounted for. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say he's one of the greatest shooters or anything like that, but he has a consistent enough that you have to account for it. With Melo, I don't feel like he ever took that next like step. Like his game was always what it was, and so I think that's why his prime kind of got diminished in a sense, because as he was like entering, like getting to that weird space that the NBA players get to, where it's like they're not all the way out of their prime, but like they're entering the latter part of their career, and it kind of separates the good from the great. I feel like
Mhm.
it kind of always stayed at good. It never really like,
Yes, I agree.
you know what I'm saying? So that's why for me, I think he's not a Hall of Famer, but there are people that thinks that he is. Like, I mean, I can't disagree either way, but
Yeah, I can understand it, but it, like I said, it's, I didn't see his full potential. Not from what I've seen. I wish it would, he would have expressed itself more, because you're right.
mhm.
It didn't transition. It
Mm,
didn't go with the flow.
yeah, for sure. So who is your favorite NBA player of all time?
My favorite NBA player of all time,
Hmm.
Kobe.
Kobe. And why? And no, no regards, but why is Kobe your favorite player of all time? Like, what was it
Kobe
about
is
him?
my favorite of all time because um is he was there when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I remember learning and watching old tapes of Mike. I remember watching all the old players.
Mm-hmm.
But Kobe was there when I was there, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I was
Mm-hmm.
going
Present.
through
Yeah. Yeah.
my growing pains in
Mm-hmm.
ball. And
Mm-hmm.
so just even with when it comes to track,
Mm-hmm.
um, my mind, when I go back and listen to him in his interviews, we
Mm-hmm.
had kind of almost the same mindset. It was just, I was eating.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I wasn't leaving anything on the table. I wasn't, it was total, it was practice,
Mm-hmm.
practice, practice.
Mm-hmm.
It was, if I wasn't doing it right,
Mm-hmm.
then I had to practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I did it wrong, if there was a misstep, and I guess I could kind of bring up basketball because I don't really talk about it much, but my prime time in basketball was elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people that I do know now didn't see me play, but the people that did see me play, they know
Yeah. Yeah.
what it was. And
Yeah.
so I remember my favorite move. I did this hook shot,
Mm-hmm.
totally off the whim, didn't know. It shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
And it dropped in. And I just remember throwing basketballs to the bleachers. I remember just, I think I was averaging like 16, 18 a game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, at the time I was smaller then. So I was a guard in
Mm-hmm.
elementary school. And then when I got to high school, I became a power forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so man, I appreciate
Mm-hmm.
Kobe because it was a reflection for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just grateful he was there. I'm grateful that I was able to be there and
Mm-hmm.
experience that time
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh yeah, that was definitely prime NBA. If you're a basketball fan, that was definitely prime NBA, because as great as Kobe was, you still had other like great players also that kind of contributed
Yes.
to that
Yes.
era. So it's like that was like the prime era to me, as far as basketball wise. But I mean, yeah, like Kobe being, I learned to appreciate Kobe a lot more. I was always like a fan of his, but I mean, I was always like an AI fan and a LeBron fan, so it was like they were always rivaling him. But I mean, I definitely respected him and feared him. Obviously, you had to, because I mean, he would destroy anybody. Like there's not a person he didn't get over on, basically. So but I think my respect for him grew more as he kind of got into the latter part of his career and started to really like reach out and be just like this branch of knowledge for young and up and coming basketball players coming into the NBA or that were already in the NBA, or for the women's game as well, just like with his daughter and
Right.
women's college basketball and stuff like that. And I just hate that
Mm-hmm.
we got robbed of kind of like where he was going with that, and then like
Mm-hmm.
with his daughter, because she was gonna be amazing, like she was
She,
gonna
oh,
be,
she was the bomb. Oh, she was so
yeah.
just the clips and little things that I was able to find.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, I loved it.
Man,
I,
she was Kobe. She was Kobe part two, but just in the female body. Like she had everything of his mannerisms, jump shot, fadeaway. Like I didn't even have a fadeaway that young. Like so. I mean, it just yeah. So I mean, I definitely hear you on that. Now, who do you consider? What would be your like your goat, like your top three goats? Like who what in like what order, as far as like hooping goes? Like who would be your three goats?
go. Ooh.
Our friendship rides on this, Danielle. Our friendship rides on this.
The
The
goats,
goats
like of all time.
of all time,
Oh
all
man,
of it. Top three.
is this the NBA or is this everything? Is this
This is the well. Okay, so we'll do it like this. We'll do NBA first, but then then I want to know. After that, I want to know your top five Illinois male hoopers, since we did female.
oh man?
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
you taking it there.
I'm taking it there.
Okay, NBA. I'll have to say. Okay, there's Kobe.
Of course.
There's
Okay.
Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do that real quick.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
then
That's fair.
this is this is
It's
hard for me because
it's an easy answer, Danielle. It's an
oh,
easy
it's
answer.
easy.
It's an easy
But that's
answer.
because I'm probably not even thinking of, like I said, I haven't watched ball.
Yeah, I know. I'm messing
It's
with you. I'm
been a
giving you a
minute.
hard time. I'm giving you a hard time.
So okay, now let me put in the mind frame of now.
Mm-hmm.
So Kobe might, and then you you can't negate LeBron. You can't.
That's all I
You can't.
ask. That's all I ask. That's all I
Because
ask.
and it's funny that I'm saying this because when he would play or when he first came out, I would just watch him and I'm just like because it's a natural ability.
Mm-hmm.
And so to see him now like you said with Carmelo to transition,
Mm-hmm.
that's a powerful thing to see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as much pushback, you can deny that.
Yeah, come on, man. Come on, man.
You cannot.
Come on, man.
You just I don't like I understand. But
Yeah,
I
I
understand
get it too. I get
because
it too.
I love because I'm big on team.
Yeah,
I
yeah, for
love
sure.
watching a team play, which is why I kind of migrated to the NFL and started and learned about football and watching football.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching football because it's team.
Yes, for sure.
There's team there.
For
And
sure.
so when it comes to basketball, to see, and I haven't watched too much of him lately, but to see him transition from
Mm-hmm.
his just explosive self to
Mm-hmm.
becoming a team player, it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It's
Mm-hmm.
awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's very awesome to see.
Absolutely. That's on and off the court. I
Yeah.
think for him
Yes.
as well, because I mean he's done a lot for our community off the court and been such a
Mhm.
spokesperson. And you got to think like that man had the weight of the world on his shoulders at 15. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Spotlight, cameras, I mean everything, and
I
never
remember that being
know.
in the game.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I got it.
Like,
I still got that this burn.
yes, come on, what? Come on, Bird DVD. Come on, Bird DVD.
Hey, I still got it.
I knew you was a real one, down there. I knew you was a real one. Come on, Bert DVD. Take it back for him one time. Let him know. But okay,
Man.
so who would be your, no particular order, doesn't matter. Who would be your top five men in our era, basketball, Illinois? Doesn't matter, like I said, what school, none of that. Just who is your top five that come to mind?
Let me think for a second. Let me pull these memories.
Right. Going back to these cassette tapes.
No, for real. For sure, Sean.
Yeah, gotta be Sean.
Um, I'm trying to think who I used to watch. Who I used to watch in high school. I can't even. I'm drawing a blank here. Who did? I'm trying. Look, I'm trying to think of the team who played against Derrick Rose.
All right. Who did? That's a good. I don't even remember that. That's a good question. I have to go back and listen. But that's a good question.
Because I'm thinking, man, you got me on a blank here. I might have to send this to you.
That works. We'll come back to that because I don't want to put too much pressure. Because that's a hard. I'm over here thinking like, damn, who would my five be? I'm not even sure if I know who my five would be for real. Like, Sean obviously would make the list, of course. I'd have to go probably Jamar Smith. Who the next three? I would go. I would put DJ Richardson on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I can think about elementary school. So I'm thinking about Donovan Stewart.
I was about to put him next. He was coming next. Donovan Stewart. You got him. Any top five.
Balling.
Any top five.
The man was balling.
Listen, from the time he probably came out the womb, he was in any top five. When it comes to men in our era, you have to include. I don't respect your list as Donovan Stewart does not make that list because let me tell you, you want to talk about balling. What he used to do was unfair, man. It was unfair. It wasn't a single person in the city that could guard him. Not a single one. Not a single one. And I knew some defenders. Trust me. We all did. But there was nothing anybody could do with Donovan Stewart. Nothing.
From day one, though. Like,
man, the first time I saw him play, I'm like, yo, who is this, bro? Like, where did he come from?
That was it. And I was there from the beginning to watch.
Oh, yeah. See, you saw it because he went to your school, right?
Yep. From day one. To watch, man, it was amazing. It was amazing to see. And like I said, we didn't even know what we were doing. We were so young, balling like that and running like that,
man.
And I ended up breaking records in Richwoods, but
slight flex.
The impact that we made in elementary school was unmatched because for us to be there all together, to be doing what we were doing, and to travel the state doing those things.
Yeah, Donovan was like that. Man, he was like that. Man, for real. He was definitely coming. Honestly, I would probably have to reconstruct my top five. I mean, I'm just going off the bat of who I can think of because, man, that dude.
Yes.
Oh man, like I saw him play a couple, and his sister as well.
Yes. Oh yes.
Listen. Oh my God, yo, woo! I got the opportunity to play with her on the summer team, and she was awesome. She was incredible, man. I could throw the ball literally anywhere, and she would catch it and do something with it. Like anywhere, I could just throw it up in the air, and she would just catch it and do just crazy talented. Oh man. What a time. What a time. I think my fifth would probably be, I'd probably go Dyrikis would be my fifth.
Oh yeah. Yes, definitely.
Recad game. And I got to see him up close too, because I
remember in Washington.
Yeah. I remember he left Central to go to Washington. I remember that whole debacle.
I loved it. I love watching him play at Washington.
Oh my goodness. I played for his dad, so we got to see a lot of him. And man, he was like that too.
Getting down.
Man, he was like that too. It was whoo, man, like I again, like you said, just thinking back on that, you just don't realize like how much just greatness you were around, and then when you sit back and realize like how much you just saw and soaked in, it's like, man, like, wow, like I need to write a book or something. Like this is kind
Then
of
it makes you
crazy.
think, but it makes you think like, okay, what makes us great? So the work ethic, the discipline, the what else attributes to that greatness?
Just
And
that raw talent, yeah.
Man, because you have the ability, you have the natural ability. That's the one thing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But then to practice that, it's always going to go back to practice for me. To practice, you can have all the natural ability you want, but if you're not practicing, if you don't have that discipline, you're not going anywhere.
That's facts.
When it came down to the track meet, that was fun.
Yeah, that was the easy part.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the easy part.
All right, I did all the work.
The hard work up to that.
Cried.
Yeah.
I done crawled off the track in practice.
Yeah.
I done put the balm on my leg, rub my tendon. Like I didn't. Now we about to have some fun.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna show you that he wasn't practicing.
Let him know.
You wasn't practicing hard enough.
You wasn't doing what I was doing. You was playing. You was out there playing. I'm finna show you. Don't worry about it. I'm finna show you. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it would be so funny because I knew some girls on the track team, and so like they were like, oh, come to our track meet, and I'd be like, all right, you know. And then I would find out they was running against y'all, and I'd be like, ooh, good luck. I know her in real life. So I know what's about to happen. You may not, but I know what's about to happen. And like, oh shit, okay, all right. You gonna see it up close and personal. So when you see the back of her shirt, do it like this. Don't say I ain't try to warn you. So so before we wrap up here, like, do you have any sports questions or questions in general for me?
I guess since we are here,
we are here.
As far as the NBA and what you see now, how do you feel about it and what it has come to and what's going on?
I feel like there is a lack of kind of like competitive fire. It is a lot more friendly now. I definitely can agree with that, but I do think the overall expansion and just how they have revolutionized the game and kind of pushed the game forward is interesting and has brought, I feel like it has brought more how do I say it? More like global attention to so many variables of the NBA. I feel like the athleticism is out of this world, obviously, now. Being naturally athletic is not a lost thing anymore. It's like everybody's kind of expected to have that, and if you don't and bust through that crack, it's like, okay, you were one of the rare ones. But I feel like the talent is out of this world. I feel like, but there's a lack of effort there. And a lack of like like what made us love the OG NBA was like what you said, you know, the competitiveness, the effort, the hard work, the sheer determination. I don't feel like everybody has that in this current NBA. So it's like it's kind of harder to find those that really truly want to separate themselves, and then the ones that are just comfortable being where they are. And I feel like there's more players that are comfortable being where they are than competitive fire and really wanted to win and really wanted to like have that separation amongst their peers, basically, in so many words.
Right.
Because, you know, like in Kobe's generation, like everybody was trying to separate themselves. Like everybody wanted to be great and they're within their own right. In today's NBA, it's kind of like, I'm cool with being right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's just, it's kind of oversaturated with that mentality. Okay. Which is why I feel like the casual fan kind of struggles to connect with today's NBA because of that. Because if you're if you've been a fan of OG NBA coming up to now, you look at it like, this is too much. This is not, there's not a lot of defense being played. It's more scoring than it is defense,
Oh
honestly.
man, that's
So
not it.
yeah, it's not. And it's like you watch some of this stuff and you like, again, like coming up in our era and playing for the coaches we play for, you be like, man, I would get killed for that. Like,
Huh.
like
Tell me about it.
I would get my head knocked off for that. But it's like, they making all these millions or whatever. But what I do like about it is, like I was explaining before, is that I feel like it's more of a player driven league now more than ever. Um, I do like the fact that players are being encouraged to speak their opinions about social injustice as well. That's a very strong point for the NBA. Yes, I feel like part of it is obvious. It's marketing and they're pandering. Like every major company is pretty much doing that now. But I do feel like there are genuine people inside the NBA that do care about a lot that care about social injustice and are encouraged to do that. So I do like that factor as well. So overall, like I'm a fan of basketball, so I'm gonna watch it anyway.
Yes.
But there are a lot of variables of it now that are very different from when I came up watching it and why I fell in love with it. So it's kind of cringe a little bit. Like it makes it hard to watch sometimes because it's like, man, like this is not how it's supposed to be. Like, but this unfortunately is what it is, and everything evolves and changes and kind of grows with the time. So you kind of just have to get with it or don't.
True.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. Like I still love it, but there are a lot of things if I could change, I would. But and that ain't up to me. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Good. But that's all I had as far as questions. I appreciate you so much. It's so good to talk to you.
Thank you. Same.
So
Same. I'm glad that we got to do this. I'm glad that you are in a great mental space and that you are expanding on that and trying to like make that a thing for your environment and people around you. I've known you for a long time, so I've seen the transition from when we were growing up together to what you are now. What you are now, and it's two totally different people. I'm like, woo! This is, and I listen, salute, because that's what you're supposed to do. But I'm like the Donda. I remember though.
Okay. What do you?
What I remember that I will say on this platform here, because there's a lot of things I can't. But what I do remember is that you were always in great spirits every time I saw you, for one. You never switched up like your personality, no matter who you were around. You were always the same person, no matter if you were with it did, because popularity and stuff, like how that was in that time. But like you never switched up. Anytime you saw me, it was we always stopped and talked for a while, chopped it up, had great conversations. You were always super dedicated to whatever it is you were doing, whether it was basketball, whether it was track, whether it was dancing, it didn't matter what it was. You were dedicated to it. You were dedicated to it.
That's right.
And I mean, I've always respected it and admired that about you, because to be that young, to have that mentality and to really like hone in on a craft and be like, I'm gonna be great at this. And not only am I gonna be great at it, but I'm gonna put in the work to ensure that I'm great at it. That's something that you've always had, no matter, like I said, no matter what it was. So I've always admired that. And you always been a great friend, man. Like you always just been a really great friend. So I mean, I've always remembered those traits about you. And to see you kind of transition to what you are now and still to take that with you is an amazing. And like I said, I super salute. Yeah, super salute what it is that you're doing. And like I said, you always with the positive vibes on Facebook and very always very enlightening and encouraging and all of those things. So to that I say keep going, salute, much respect always. Man, and just keep going. So is there anything that we should be looking forward to as far as with Law? Like, is there anything that you're putting out like content wise, or is that still something that's kind of in the works? Like what's the future for it?
As far as Love Always Wins and social media, it's still the same.
Okay.
I'm just providing value to spaces that I'm in. And
Mhm.
then I still, like I said, I allow people to come to me at this
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
I'm not doing a call to action yet
Okay.
because the work that I am doing is kind of big. And
Mhm.
so I know that my work is going to take a few years to produce of what I am producing. Because I'm not big on the impulsiveness.
Mhm.
I'm very It's very in depth, I
Yes,
guess,
for sure.
if you will, when it
For
comes
sure.
to the things that I'm doing, because the passion, I'm passionate about everything that I do. If I'm not passionate about it, I'm not going to do it. And if I
Mhm.
do it, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
So,
for sure.
and then there's also the aspect of I'm not going to tell someone to do something that I'm not doing myself.
Mhm.
Um, so for me, just stay with me. Love Always Wins is my Facebook page.
Okay.
You can go to that.
Mhm.
That is law.
Mhm.
.org is the
Mhm.
website that I actually just put up. It's rough, but it's there. You can send me your information, any questions that you
Mhm.
have or want to talk to me,
Mhm.
just hit me up there at that is law, THATISLAW.org. And
Okay.
other than that, just be better than you yesterday.
Mm.
That's
Absolutely.
it. Love
That's
always wins.
for sure. That's great advice. So we got the Facebook page, we got the website. Is there any other ways that people can reach you, or those the main two that
You can
they should be
reach
looking
me
for?
Twitter,
Mhm.
Instagram at Donielle
Mhm.
Donyell Donielle. So that's my handle for my social media. You can find me.
Mhm.
Um, can't miss me. I'm there. And Love Always Wins is nice and big.
Yes.
So that's where you can find me at.
For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time, Danielle. I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, keep going, keep doing what you're doing. It's always great to see Black women do great things and exist in their own space and create their own
Yes.
opportunities and just expand on those. So I wish you all the success with
Yes.
law. I've definitely
Same
be
for you.
man.
Same for you. I love what you're doing.
Thank
I'm
you,
excited to see where you're going with it.
thank you,
So happy, so proud,
thank you,
and just
thank you.
eager. I'm eager to see where you're going with it,
Hmm.
because you're doing it, and it's beautiful to see.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. Well, thank you so much again for your time, and we'll be in contact soon. Some more. And hopefully
Okay.
we can get some more stuff done. But you have a great rest of your night. All right.
You
All right.
later.